I would suggest that we start. Kaisa, what do you think? This is going to be recorded also. We're going to have this same video recorded and subtitled also in Spanish and in French, and it's going to be available in our website. So I think we can kick off. So welcome everyone, and well, my name is Martín Valese. I'm part of the coordination team at the global DRS platform, and Kaisa Karjalainen, I hope I'm pronouncing it well, Kaisa, your surname?
Yeah, it's fine.
Perfect. Is here with us. Kaisa, please, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So welcome also on my behalf, and my name is Kaisa Karjalainen, and I have been helping the global DRS designing the learning courses, and normally I work at the Mission Zero Academy in Brussels, coordinating the zero-waste implementation and learning efforts on the European level. So I'm very happy to be supporting also the global mission of DRS.
Thanks, Kaisa, for being here with us and for that support. We are really thrilled to create these spaces where many participants from all around the world and different backgrounds can get into, because as we usually highlight, creating a space where people from different regions, sectors, and backgrounds come together is one of the main visions and objectives of the global DRS platform. We really want to collaborate globally so that no beverage containers end up polluting our planet and lost in nature. And so the reason or main problem or main issue that brings us here today is very clear. As you all know, plastic pollution remains one of the greatest challenges of our era. And just think about that. 3.5 billion single-use beverage containers are being sold every day, and most of them end up as waste. And with plastic production increasing and waste management systems struggling to keep up, we need urgent solutions. And there is where DRS comes in. DRS systems have proven to be one of the most effective tools to create circular economy and to tackle the plastic issue. We know that they create really high return rates, as we see here, 95%. It's a common return rate in many DRS countries. This leads to that it's able to keep valuable materials in circulation. It also promotes reuse and create new economic opportunities, among many other positive aspects of DRS systems. Therefore, the global DRS platform was created with the objective of supporting both governments, organizations, and also companies that want to implement or improve DRS systems to create them to be able to do that. Because we know that designing, crafting, and implementing these systems can be such a big, complex challenge. That is why we created this platform and put at everyone's disposal tools, knowledge, and experience from all around the world. And one of our key initiatives here is the DRS Academy, which is the one in yellow, what we are going to focus today. And it's we are going to present this initiative, and the idea is that Kaisa is going to walk us through what is the methodology behind this academy, the different training options that there are, and how to get involved in this DRS Academy. But before giving you the mic, Kaisa, I would like to briefly touch upon a concept that is going to be really in-depth explored throughout the DRS Academy courses, that it's misconceptions. We often talk about this because it's many times we hear people confuse incentive or reward programs, for example, with deposit and return schemes. This is extremely common. And we often see apps being launched claiming to solve the plastic crisis. And although they might offer some level of incentive, we all know that they can't deliver what DRS really can, because they are fundamentally different. And there's many reasons for this. One is handling resources, while the other one is actually rewarding waste generation. One is obligatory under an EPR scheme, while the other one is voluntary. DRS systems have a system approach, which is one of the key concepts also behind it, while the other one are ad hoc solutions or even marketing campaigns. And so if we truly want to design solutions that address effectively the issue, we need to clearly understand what the DRS is and what the DRS is not, and why. And this is exactly the kind of clarity that you will gain throughout the DRS Academy's learning experience. Before we go to you, Kaisa, I wanted to just share a few points. As I said before, the event is being recorded for future references. The webinar is being held in English, but it's going to be available in Spanish and in French. Please feel free to submit questions in the chat. We will take them when convenient. And finally, we will share with you a QR code in French, Spanish, and in English so that you can log into the courses directly and start off. Kaisa, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. And I would like to amplify Martin's words, like now is your chance to ask questions. So please submit them in the chat function so that we can provide you with answers right here and now. So please don't hold back. There is no stupid questions, so no obvious questions. So feel free to ask, and also remember that your questions can also provide the answer to somebody who was maybe too shy to ask the question. So you can do a favor to a lot of people by asking it now. And of course, like if there's too many questions, we will provide a written answers and hook it up on the DRS Academy platform later. So if we can't answer some questions right here, there will be answers later on. And I think something worth mentioning is that, like we have seen, like Martin said, that there is big gaps in knowledge just from the plain fact of like what is DRS to start with, but then building on from that, like how to design a good quality DRS system that fills the objectives and reaches the results that we know that are possible. And the Academy is really to bridge this gap. And there's now 2 courses available already, but the idea is to build like a proper like career path for it so that you can keep on building your knowledge and going more into the details of what it means, so that you can act as a local level expert on the topic. It doesn't matter if you are from the ministry or any kind of other national authorities, or you're a local level change maker like a waste consultant or local zero waste advocate or DRS advocate. So these are the courses for you, all of them. So yeah, don't hesitate. And especially the first course, which we call the Foundations. It's really for anybody who would like to understand what really is a DRS system. So if you are one of those people who think you know that what DRS, but you are not quite sure, or you would like really want to make sure that you have understood it correctly, please join course number 1, because what we really wanted to achieve with that course is that all of us understand deposit and return systems the same way, so that we would not fall into the pitfalls of maybe a system that is actually not a deposit and return system in the first place, like Martin explained with the incentive schemes or different reward schemes, or accidentally design, for example, a DRS system which is a DRS system but falls short on achieving the results that we know that are possible. So that's really the main point of course number 1, to level the playing field, that we all know what the good quality DRS system here is. And also something that is very important to mention is that we also wanted to include the social dimension in the course, especially in many places in the global south. The informal waste workers and waste pickers, they are a crucial backbone of the system. And we know, even me as a Northern European, I know that there is lots of concerns, and there's a big risk also that these informal workers will be excluded from a DRS system. So we also wanted to explore the concept of how can they be included? There will be a role for them in the system, and how could it look like? So we can also put like this worry to rest, and at least like the experts who graduate from this course, they hopefully realize how to take the informal waste workers into consideration in their work. So yeah, that's really course number 1. Really understand all in the same manner what is deposit and return systems, and how does a well-functioning system that achieves the result is inclusive, accessible, looks like. And then building on to course number 2, the second course is more on like how could a well-performing system look like in my context. So that's where the learner will be looking more into, okay, so how does the legislation for DRS look like? Okay, what do I have in place already in my country? What would need to change? What's missing so that we can have DRS legislation in my country? Or how could I make the economics work in my situation? Or how does the collection and reverse logistics could look like in my country, because my country is an island, or it's very dispersed, or it's very densely populated, or whatever is the context. You will explore how could the system look like wherever you are. So yeah, and you come out of that course with your own high-level feasibility assessment, but also your high-level plan of like, okay, what do I need to figure out next? What would be the key points to convey to the decision makers? And what are the main actions to take on when my country or my region wants to set up a DRS system? So it's already much more localized. And it's not mandatory to take course number 1 before course number 2, but I would really, really, really recommend you to do it, just in case there is something that you have not understood correctly before about DRS systems, or just to also refresh the existing knowledge, so that you can kind of like really have fresh in mind the principles of DRS, what it is and what it isn't, so that then when you dive into your local context, you would have the principles fresh in mind. So yeah, highly recommended, but the system is not mandating the kind of like going in chronological order. Also, we have made the accessibility for the course quite easy, because the course number 1 is free, so you're not losing anything, but you're gaining a lot of knowledge. So that would be my first recommendation for you when you start learning about the system.
Kaisa, a question we usually have regarding deposit systems is connected to the fact that there's not 2 DRS systems that look the same. Every region, every country needs a solution in itself, because the issues are also different. How is this explored in the academy?
That's a great question, and also something that we thought quite a lot in detail when we were designing the courses, because yeah, the world is very wide and we come from very different places. And how we tackled this, that in course number 1, we have several examples from different parts of the world, both from global South and global North, North America, Europe, even Australia, and then Latin America, Asia. So you can hopefully find examples that could be not exactly your context, but also something similar. And at the same time, these like very varying contexts, they give you the idea that, okay, if they manage to do it in Latvia, a small country in Eastern Europe, and then they manage to do it on the other side of the world in Uruguay, okay, maybe there's like something in between that is suitable also for me. And also what you will understand in the first course is that the principles are still the same. So the question is, how are they localized to my local context? And then that's what you're really figuring out for yourself in the second course. So first course, you are more working with examples, assessing things with the examples that we have given you, so that you can practice the principles and the main concepts of DRS with the help of the varying examples. And then in the second course, you start applying them into your local context, and you are the expert of your own context. And then you apply, and we support you in applying the knowledge in those contexts.
Picking up on this, the practical approach of the course, I think it's a critical aspect of it. You shared with us about the productive failure concept. And maybe that's an interesting concept that has to do with the methodology that would be nice for you to elaborate a little bit on.
Yeah, absolutely. So the learning methodology is based on a handbook that we developed already a few years ago in a project called Building the European Zero Waste Academy. So it was done together with professors and researchers of educational psychology. So it's really trying to look into the principles of like, how do we as humans, how do we learn? How does our brain function? How does our memory function? What are the conditions that best help us learn? So it's built on that, and I will actually drop the link into the chat. So if somebody wants to pick up the handbook, it's freely available on the internet. So if you want to look into the principles much more, I would recommend it. It's great resource for anybody who has any kind of like training or teaching components as part of their life or work. And what we have found in the different courses that we have designed, not only for global DRS but other topics as well, is that these principles are quite foreign for many people. More traditional teaching in many countries, they are almost the opposite of what the handbook principles are. They are more teacher-led. There's somebody who gives you the information, and then it's your job to write down notes and memorize it, and then be able to do something with the information. That's the more traditional teacher-led teaching. And then our approach is more that you as the learner, you are the centerpiece of the puzzle here, and it's more so that we as the trainers or teachers, we facilitate your learning. So we try to use different teaching strategies so that you can build your own knowledge, and it can become your long-term memory and your long-term expertise. Because if I tell you something, you might remember it still tomorrow, but if I ask you again in 1 year's time, you might not remember it. Or if the piece of information is very relevant for one context, it might be difficult for you to apply it in a different context, because I just give you a piece of information. But then if I help you build your own knowledge and understanding, and also help you learn, then you're able to, it becomes your long-term memory. And that's why I also recommend that the courses, even though you can advance at your own pace, I would recommend you to take a few weeks to go through it, because remembering and forgetting is something very efficient in learning. So if you just power through the course in one sitting, you're probably going to pick up a few pieces of information, but for it to become a long-term memory and a long-term learning competence, it takes a bit longer time. And that's why also how the courses are built is so that we are not giving you answers and information up front, but we more make you work on the information so that you can figure out, for example, the gaps in your own knowledge or what you need to learn. And then from the different pieces of information, build your own knowledge. So it's this delayed information giving. There might be also some strategies, for example, the productive failure, so that you're working on a challenge that is very, very hard for you. And that also helps you realize okay, this is something that I don't know yet. And then you can start building your knowledge towards it. And of course, we will provide you with resources to do so. So we are not going to leave you alone with the gap of knowledge that you have identified, but then we will help you fill it with information. And then it can be the videos, the PDFs, and the different information that we give you, but only after you have worked on the knowledge before. Or what it can look also in practice is like different analysis tasks. So you get an assignment to compare two things, for example, or find different pieces of information or analyze, like, why did the system in Massachusetts fail? Like, why is the return rate there only 70 something? Why is it not 95? And then you can hopefully find from the information that you're given why it is. And if not, there's of course like correction of, or like the information and the right answers will be given you after. So that's how it works. So when you start the course, if you first feel like, yeah, but why am I asked to do this when I don't know this yet? Don't worry, it's part of the learning process. And everything will be clarified for you afterwards. And of course, in the course, there's always a discussion function. So if you really get stuck on something, there's the discussion function, and you can be in touch with us and get more tailored support when you need. So I would say, first of all, there's no stupid questions. And don't be afraid to fail. I know none of us wants to make a mistake. None of us wants to fail, but it's part of the learning process. It's totally normal. We are not going to give you a grade, and especially we're not going to publish your grades. So what's the gap in your knowledge, and what you didn't know, that's for you to know what you need to improve on, and nothing more than that. So please don't be afraid of identifying gap in your knowledge, or that you made a mistake. It's totally normal and part of the process even.
Kaisa, then there is also always the question of what's the pace supposed to be with these courses? Is it my own pace? Is the pace defined by the course? Is it different from course 1, course 2? How long is this course?
So they are totally time independent, and we have an e-learning platform to host all the content and all the assignments and all the support functions. And that's our way of trying to make them as accessible as possible, so that you can do it at your own pace from whichever time zone you are. Or some people, they have the time to work in the morning on this, some others in the week, and some others in the evening. So we don't want to dictate any times and places when you have to be connected online. And that's our way of trying to make it as accessible as possible. But then at the same time, it gives the responsibility for you to, as the learner, to keep the pace up. And I would recommend, do not do them in one sitting, even though technologically it's possible for you. But there's 5 modules and an ending module. So if there's 5 modules, I would recommend more or less to do 1 per week. So it paces you out nicely. It gives you this time to think and to kind of come to grips with the information, and build your own knowledge and maybe come up with the ideas. At least personally for me, my best ideas always come like 1 day after whatever I had to do. So also with this, leave a bit of time between the different assignments and the different tasks that you do. But then at the same time, don't drag your feet too much, because otherwise you might lose momentum and lose pace and forget like totally what was in the beginning. And that's why we have gapped the duration of the course to 90 days. It gives you basically 3 times more time than what I recommend you to take for it. So it should be plenty. Of course, if you run out of time, we can extend it. But I hope the 90 days kind of like pushes you to keep the pace without dragging too much. And it gives you kind of an indication of what it is. And with this 90 days, it's already enough to, like, if you get sick 1 week, or if you are really busy 1 week, or have a holiday 1 week, like, it doesn't ruin anything for you. So it's kind of like flexible but structured enough to keep the pace. The both courses, they're same length, but I would say that the course number 2 is maybe a bit more intensive on the learner, because there is more of this like application of knowledge into your own context. So it's not quite as quick or quite as easy to do the assignments and the learning, when you really have to like maybe dig a bit more into detail of your own context at the same time.
It's always good to have a deadline, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like otherwise, at least I would not get anything done.
Yeah, it's great. Then I was thinking about the course number 2. You talked about that people are going to be able to work on real case scenarios, probably what they are going through in the place that they are in the region they are working at. Experts, are there going to be people behind the platform that are going to follow up, have contact with them? How does that work?
Yeah, it works so that in the beginning of the course, like one of the first things you'll do in the course is that you design what's your mission to start with, like what's your location in case you happen to work in a few countries, for example. And then also what is the material or the product that you are setting the DRS system up for, because we normally understand DRS as for beverage containers, but that's not actually the only thing you can do it for. So if you decided to do it for something else, that's up to you, as well as the learner and the master of your own learning, in case you have a good case. So that's the first thing you choose. And then all your assignments that you're doing and all the learning that you're doing throughout the course, you will be working on the same case all the time. So you are kind of like building bit by bit more things on this one case that you have chosen. And there's a few checkpoints throughout the course where you submit what you have done so far. And that's when the experts of the global DRS platform, they will give you personalized feedback based on your assignment. So that will hopefully help you fix things that might not be quite optimal, or they might point you more in the right direction of like, okay, this is good so far. Maybe something to consider for the future would be A, B, and C. So you can get like feedback and guidance in a few different parts throughout the course. And of course, in the final assignment, when you really like submit all you have done so far, so the final, your best attempt of the work, that's your best chance also of getting personalized feedback from an expert who has been thinking and breathing and living DRS for a long time already. So please try your best with the assignments. And I promise they're not going to be one of those assignments where you write 20 or 50 pages. We want to keep the writing to a minimum and thinking and doing to a maximum. So don't be afraid of the assignments. It's not as bad as maybe your university teacher used to make you do. But yeah, do them the best you can so that you can get better quality feedback from the trainers. And of course, it would be nice to start building a community of experts so that it's not only the experts of the DRS platform that you can ask, but there is also others. And that's why there is the discussion function on the platform. So you can also discuss with the other learners of the platform, and you can also give others maybe ideas or tips. So please use it. It's also good for you when you try to help somebody else. It's actually beneficial for your own learning. So use the discussion function. It's not only for emergencies, it's also for casual questions. Feel free to even introduce yourself if you want there. And it's really your space to interact with others.
Kaisa, and one question that is very important: is it free? Do you have to pay? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first course is free because we believe that everybody should be able to understand what the great, well-performing, socially inclusive DRS system is. So we want to keep it for free, and there is the option to have it for free. But also we, as the global DRS platform, there is bills to pay. So if you have the means to sponsor the platform, there is also an alternative to make a small donation to the platform, and it helps with the upkeep of the platform. So for example, subscription fees and things like that, the trainer costs and things like that. So if it's possible for you, it's very much appreciated, but there's the free option. And then in the course number 2, we have put it the other way around. So normally there is a fee to be paid to join. And that's because there's more of the trainer involvement and yeah, more experts in the background that need their bills paid as well. And again, we try to keep the prices as low as possible to keep them accessible for everybody. if you have the means to sponsor somebody and access to the course, there is an alternative for that. So if it's possible for you to help somebody out who should get the knowledge but can't pay at the moment, feel free to use it. It's very much appreciated. And then at the same time, we try to provide scholarships for those people who are maybe from a local NGO or otherwise having financial difficulties to pay, but really sees value in gaining the knowledge. So in that case, there will be a form on the course to apply for a scholarship, and we'll get back to all the requests as soon as we can to try and provide that course also for free.
That is very clarifying. Thanks, Kaisa. Is there anything else that you would like to share, Kaisa, before we share the screen with the accesses to the courses?
Well, I think it would, I could show maybe a bit how the course looks like on a digital level so that it doesn't maybe look so daunting when you finally get access to it. So you know how it looks like, what to expect. So maybe I'll just share my screen for a second and we can go and check out the course. So first of all, the access to all of these courses is from the global DRS platform and the QR code. So I leaped one step and I'm already in the course. So how you get in, you just click the button and then you need to create your own login to the platform. It only asks for your name and your email address, and that's how you gain access. So it's not very big, and then you can join also other courses there when they become available. So pretty straightforward. Here's a short description of what you'll gain so that you know what to do before committing. This is from the first course, the foundations course. There's a curriculum, so if you want to see what's happening, you can check here like titles of each of the lessons between the different modules, and there's a few lessons that we have put also with open access so that even before committing and signing up, you can check how they look like. So feel free to take a sneak peek before committing. Then here is the payment and non-payment options. So for the free access, you just enroll from here. Same thing, you put your name and email address and off you go. And then if you have the means to support the Deposit and Return System Academy, there's a couple of options, and then you basically make a donation and get access to the course. And we use the funds to the running of the academy and providing the scholarships. As an extra reward, we extended a bit the access to the platform so that you can have a bit more extra time to go through it. So it's pretty simple, quite straightforward. And then when you go to the actual course, so now I have signed up and I'm here as the learner. You can always see all the stuff that is on the platform from the left-hand side. And then on the top, you can measure your own progress. So you know how far you have gone. And these little tick boxes here on the left will become green when you finish a lesson. So you can always be in control of what you have done and what you have not done. And then a few functions to make your life easier. There's the discussion forum. It's normally attached to the first section of each of the modules. So all the discussion of the introduction to the course, for example, happens when you click here, the welcome button. Now for me, it doesn't work because I'm actually using a preview to make everything work a bit faster, but it looks like what you expect. You ask a question and then you can either like others' comments or you can answer them. When you finish something, you just click and continue. Now I'm not going to do it because otherwise it will kick me out. And then it marks something as done. And then in the actual course, you can see there's some text, there's some pictures. We have embedded some PDFs that the assignments are, for example, related to. And if it's a longer one, we, for example, indicate which section, which chapter are the relevant ones for the task at hand. but feel free to use these resources. You can download them for future reference as well. So feel free to do it. And also in the handouts section, which is attached to some of these lessons here, we have attached some extra materials. So they are not used actively on the assignments and on the learning, but there is kind of like extra resources for you to read and to go back to when needed. So feel free to also download those when you find them helpful. Then there are some assignments and things like that to be done. For example, some tests where you can test your own knowledge. This is somehow really slow. Let's see if it wants to load again, and then we'll see. But there's like a few things where you can test your own knowledge. Seems like I have been kicked out. We're just gonna go back in and go from there. So here, and yeah, so here, for example, we have a few videos that you can check out on the way, and then at the very, very end, there's a test to test your own knowledge of what you have learned, and it's also a way for you to kind of reflect what you have read, go back and retrieve the information that you gained, and see if you really understood the principles correctly. There's always there's like autocorrection of the answers. So if you get something wrong, you'll get feedback of why it was wrong. And if it's all correct, you will also get the feedback from that. So it's really easy to use and quite self-explanatory. There's a button to click and you go from there. And yeah, that's how it's built on. So on pictures, on videos, and then the assignments. And also in some sections, there is, for example, questions that we would invite you to think about. They're always in orange. It's a moment for you to pause and think. Maybe a good moment to look out of the window for a few minutes and think about the question that you saw, or go and get a cup of tea and yeah, think about the answer to the question. We don't ask you to write answers to the question. It's more like for you to build on your knowledge and to keep thinking. And this is how it looks like. Hopefully it's simple enough. It doesn't use massive amounts of internet, so if your connection is a bit shaky and things like that, it will hopefully run for you quite painlessly. And yeah, and you can always come back to it within the validity of your ticket, so you can stop wherever you want and come back. And yeah, if there's any questions about any of this, or if there's any need to see any details, I'm very happy to show things while I'm here.
I think there are no more questions so far, but we are going to leave an email for those who want to ask further questions on this to reach us.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, these are run by the e-learning platform of the Mission Zero Academy. So if you see our logo at the top corner, it just means that we are sharing our digital resources with the global DRS platform, and I'm very happy to make this course available via our digital infrastructure.
Thanks for that, Kaisa.
And of course, like one big question that many ask, and in some cultures I know it's important, are you going to get a certificate of completion when you finish a course? The answer is yes. So there will be an automatic, like once your this little percentage here goes to 100, the platform will give you a certificate of participation. It's sent directly to your email. Check your spam if it doesn't arrive. Sometimes it might go there if your firewall is a bit strict, but it's there. It has your name on it and everything. So feel free to use it. But yeah, before asking for it, make sure that this says 100. Otherwise, it's not gonna shoot automatically.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to mention that automatically we also share information to share in LinkedIn, right, Kaisa? Once is finished with the courses, one can share it with their networks as well. It's good for the learner, but also for those who want to get this type of knowledge to spread out the voice. So it's highly appreciated also that folks share these results and certificates.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to share the knowledge. You might be the final push for somebody else to be inspired to get trained. So we very much appreciate, and we try to make it as easy for you to also share the news on your social media or other channels. And also at the very, very end of the course, there's this like keeping in touch thing, and we give you a few tips and resources there, like how can you keep in touch with the global DRS platform and academy, but also keep learning. So there's a few things for you to do there.
I think one key thing also to mention is that this project of the DRS Academy that's inside of the global DRS platform can also be connected further after that one does the course. The DRS platform is actually working on real cases where to promote DRS systems. So some of these projects might, even after the courses, become real projects. And that's also an interesting point to make, right, Kaisa?
Yeah, especially in course number 2, where you're working, well, of course, like all the examples from course number 1, they are real life cases that have happened for the good or for the bad. There's also some examples that have not gone so well. But in course number 2, like if you really make a good plan and see a lot of potential in your country, we hope, and I think it's one of even the mission of the global DRS platform, that these plans become action at some point. So, and that I think that motivates me to create this course and keep it up, is that there's a potential to kickstart real action, because carrying lots of information in your head, well, that's one thing, and good already as that, but like if you can really transform it into action and real change, I think that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, that sounds great. So if it's fine for you guys, I can share now the QR codes. So people can scan them. As we said before, we have them in English, Spanish, and French. So you should be able to access them scanning these QR codes. And if you have questions, we have already shared the email of the Global DRS platform on the chat. You have it here as well. Do you have anything, other tips or ideas to share, Kaisa, today? Otherwise, we can conclude.
I think the main thing is to get started, especially with the foundations course. Like, yeah, it's free to join. Like, please do so. You're not gonna lose anything, but you can gain a lot. So be curious, fearless, and just see how it goes. And of course, we are here to support you if needed. So I would just get started, really.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone to being here today and for sharing this. We really hope this spreads, because it's really good, a really good project that hopefully will help many countries and regions in the world combat the problem with plastic. So goodbye, and any questions, as we said before, please write us on this email. See you soon.